Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. Dr. Johan, are you in? Okay, Dr. Johan dah ada. Right. Oh, my DD pun dah ada dah ni. Mak. Hai Dr. Emma. Okay, Dr. Jo, can I begin with the introduction?
Yeah, you can start, Suhaida.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Good morning and welcome everyone. Welcome everyone for joining us today. Welcome to all the MOOC and micro-credentials e-learning coordinators from faculty, campuses and colleges. And welcome to all MOOCs and micro-credentials developers. This workshop is for you, right? Which there will be workshops. It will be every month, there will be different workshops, which we will cater and tackle different topics. And we hope that it will help you in terms of making your MOOCs and micro-credential development much more easier, inshallah. All right, so for today, before we begin, let me give a brief housekeeping notes. There will be question and answer session, which is, Dr. Jo, do you prefer at the end or participants can just ask?
It will be okay at any point of time.
All right. So as what Dr. Jo mentioned, so if you have any question, you may use the chat box. Please do not get startled. If you listen to the beeping sound, it indicates that there are some other people are using the chat box. All right, so it is to alert us, the facilitator and also the speaker, Dr. Jo, to attend if there's any question. And if you have any question and you prefer to speak directly to Dr. Johan, feel free to use the raise hand icon so that you can alert us and we will call you and for you to pose your question directly to Dr. Jo. Right. If you choose to switch on your camera, please be aware of your surrounding, right? And we highly and sincerely hope that everyone can mute your microphone throughout the session unless you want to ask questions, all right? Okay, so today's session is for the first MOOC and micro-credential workshop series, the first series, right? Which we will be covering on instructional design, where Dr. Johan is going to provide all the necessary skills because I do understand when we talk about instructional design, we assume that we know, but actually there's so many models out there that Dr. Jo is going to share with us, right? So this instructional design is for to help us to develop the skills to design an effective MOOC and micro-credentials. Do you remember when we develop MOOC and micro-credential, it's not just placing everything online. We have to design it in such a way that it will create an effective and what we call a structured, right, learning environment. So hopefully by the end of this workshop, you are able to understand the learning theories to develop online learning experiences, and you are able to apply instructional design models to the MOOC and micro-credentials development, inshallah. Right? So without further ado, I think if I introduce Dr. Jo, rasanya semua orang akan kata lah, dah kenal lah, kan? Dr. Johan is the director, pengarah for the Advanced Learning Division. So he is my boss. So he is the best person to talk about instructional design. But he's from Faculty of Education. So kalau orang lain cerita kan pelik pula kan. So best is Dr. Jo. So without further ado, Dr. Johan, the session is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Suhaida. And thank you to for all the MOOC developer, for my friends who managed to spend their time this morning to join the session. Okay, as what Puan Suhaida mentioned earlier, in a month ataupun every week ataupun 2 weeks once, kita akan ada beberapa siri seperti inilah. So this workshop series will help the developers to get some knowledge and skills that is needed in order to develop the MOOCs and micro-credentials. So seperti biasa, I'm going to start the first series here, and this series is called Introduction to Instructional Design. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Boleh tampak screen saya? Sorry. Can you see my screen?
Teacher.
Okay. Okay. So the topics that I'm going to cover pagi ini, I think it's a little bit dry. Okay. Even when I teach my students in my faculty, they will find that this topic ni macam a bit boring lah, yeah, sebab dia a bit dry. You know, talking about theories, talking about instructional design, instructional theories, it will be a bit dry. But I will try to make it as easy as I can, so that all the terms yang memang related to education purposes too, I try to make it a simple one. I think the slide I shared to Swaida, and soon Swaida will share with everyone in the Padlet, I guess, and you'll be able to access the slides later. Yeah. So the purpose of this session is to share with everyone, yeah, what are the instructional theories and what are the instructional design models that we can use in order for us to design and develop an effective MOOCs and micro credentials. Okay, let me share. Okay, the learning outcomes of this 2-hour session is actually to understand, to help the audience ataupun the participants to understand what is learning theories. Okay, tadi I cerita tentang learning instructional design kan. Suddenly dalam learning outcome ni I mention here learning theories. So mungkin you will like be confused apa pula learning theories ni and how it's related with instructional design. So that one I will try to explain in my next slide so that you will be able to understand, okay, the foundations of learning and then how it relates with instructional design and instructional theories. Okay. May I know if anyone from this session yang ada background education? I mean, you were a teacher before. Okay. I was a teacher before. I'm teaching in school for about 5 years, and I get my first training in education when I joined Maktab Perguruan. So actually, yalah, when it's come to learning theories, all theories you need to understand in order for you to pass the exam at that point of time. Yeah, but never mind. I will go through you to all of you with these topics for this 2-hour session. Yeah. Okay. The first one, I would like to bring everyone in this session to explore. Okay. What is learning theories? What is instructional theories? And what is instructional design? If you have papers with you now, yeah, I hope if you have papers, yeah, perhaps you can try to take some notes so that you know when I talk about learning theories, you know I'm talking about learning theories. When I talk about instructional theories, you know what is instructional theories. When I talk about instructional design, then you know what is instructional design lah. Yeah. So now let us move to learning theories. Okay. Now I'm going to explain to you what is actually learning theories. Yeah. Okay. Theory in general. Okay. Theory in general is defined as descriptions of unobservable events or phenomena. Okay. This is not learning theory. Yeah. This is just what is theory in general. Contohnya, ya, if you remember theory by Charles Darwin, ya, he is describing that humans is actually a revolution from a creature called monkey. Okay, no one's actually sure whether it is true or not. But when Charles Darwin show us the picture from small monkey until an adult humans, yeah, sometimes when you look into that, it makes sense lah for us, yeah. But whether it is true or not, nobody knows lah, yeah. Okay, so that is actually a theory. It's just a description of an observable event or phenomena, but it needs to be supported by an evidence. It's not surely evidence lah. It's like supported by concepts, yeah. Now, when we talk about learning theories pula, yeah. Tadi theories, yeah. Now, learning theories. We put the word learning in front, yeah? Okay, because I'm sure that you know, when we teach our students in the class, lagi-lagilah the 2 years during the pandemic, yeah, all learning, teaching and learning process come via virtual. We teach them through ODL. Okay, you never met them. Okay, adalah mungkin you met them before the pandemic, but students yang dalam semester 1, semester 2 mungkin tak sempat jumpa lagi. And if you have opportunity, perhaps you will see them in the next semester, which is next week. Okay. Okay, so learning theories is actually, this is the explanations and descriptions of how organisms learn, specifically humans, yeah? Okay. So learning theory do explain how students learn, ataupun organisms learn lah, yeah? So when we're talking about learning theories, we have 7 school of thoughts, 7 school of thoughts, which each school of thoughts dia ada dia punya experts lah, dia punya what do you call, dia ada dia punya prominent prominent researcher, prominent people which explain that this is how learning process happen in human, yeah. So this is actually the 5 widely accepted learning theories teachers rely on. Okay, bila kita when I was in teachers training college, yeah, kita belajar all these oh sorry, not 7, 5, yeah, all these 5 type of learning theories, yeah. We call it learning theory also. Bila kita belajar benda ni, we are being asked to develop a lesson plan, which how you do the approach when it's come to behaviorism, cognitive constructivism, humanism, and connectivism. So basically, these are 5 learning theories that widely accepted, okay, as learning theories. Could be many, ada banyak lagi. Mungkin you can find more than these 5. Tapi basically, what I can tell you that basically another learning theory is actually a modification. Kalau bukan modification, it might be a combination of between these 5 learning theories. Okay, so bear in mind, learning theories is actually explanation and descriptions of how organism learns. Yeah. So in this case, when we develop MOOC in micro-credential, we need to understand that underlying theories, underlying belief, when we develop the MOOC of micro-credential is we must understand that how actually the process of learning happen in organisms. So in this case, it's our students. Okay, so behaviorism, the first one is actually they always believe in behavior. Whatever you learn, it must be translated into a behavior. Cognitive is actually they believe, okay, that whatever you learn, you can't show it through your behavior. It's all happen in the mind. in your brain. Constructivism is actually a learning theory which believe that students or the learners already have the knowledge, but it needs teachers, it needs facilitator to construct them. Okay, for example, contohnya ya, saya rasa bila kita suruh pelajar kita ataupun this is in school lah, when we ask our children ataupun kita punya son or daughter to boil water, okay, they know that the water will boil bila you panaskan dia lah. Okay, they know that will happen. Cumanya they might did know that the water actually boil at 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so bila kita minta dia masak air tu, and then when the water boil, then you know that it's what the temperature of the water is already 100 degrees Celsius. So by having that experiment in school lah, yeah, you'll be able to help the students to construct their knowledge. Okay, humanism pula adalah is more into how the interaction between the teachers and the students, and connectivism is actually focused on the gap of knowledge. Actually, I have this in my next slides. Okay, so if you look into this, I explained tadi. This is actually a short explanation of all these 5 types of learning theory. So it could happen in any MOOC, in any micro-credential. Katakanlah you develop, I think this is the first, this is March, now is March. So I think this is still in the process of the developer not identified. What should I have in my MOOC and in my micro-credential, yeah? So we do aware that contohnya if your MOOCs is actually focusing on behavior changes. So it is actually supported by learning theories that in some cases of learning, changes in behavior is actually considered as learning has taken place. Okay, so in cognitivism, yeah, this one, number 2, actually it relies on what happened in the mind. Contohnya when you teach them mathematics, okay, I think some faculties lah, when it comes to computer science, yeah, okay, when you develop the MOOCs, yeah, when you teach, when you show them a video of how to do coding, okay, ataupun you come out with a teaching video of how to teach, how to do coding lah, contohnya senang, ya. And then I think you can't expect them after learning that topic ataupun that MOOCs, there is a changes in their behavior. Possible lah, ya, sebab you belajar coding. So perhaps by giving them activities ataupun assessment which is related to coding, then you know that whether they mastered that skills that you wanted them to master. Okay, so this is cognitivism. The third one is constructivism. I have explained it just now. So this is actually you help the learner to build upon his or her previous experience and construct a new understanding. Okay, I saw some games, yeah, in the websites, yeah, ataupun in the internet, that contohnya buat jambatan. Okay, you ask them to construct a bridge. There's a game, apps pun ada, nampak? So it's just a try and error. The games actually provide all the materials that you need to construct a bridge. So you need to put it all together in place. And then once you click complete, then a lorry ataupun a car will pass through the bridge. Kalau dia tak runtuh, then the mission complete. Tapi kalau dia runtuh, then it is actually unsuccessful mission lah. So this is actually a process that constructivism believe. So they built his understanding, his knowledge based on experiences and understanding of a previous experience. Humanism is the fourth one. As I mentioned earlier, this is more into a learner-centric approach. Okay, meaning to say, this is a theory that believes that when you want to teach the person, in which the potential is focused rather than the method or materials. This is like when you wanted to teach students ataupun I think this is more into skills, yeah. Contohnya you want to teach a group of students on specific skills, yeah. So it is important in the beginning of the class, you should identify students with that specific skills before you start teaching them. Okay, contohnya I'm sure some MOOC ataupun micro credential, ya. Contohnya when you wanted to come out with MOOCs which focus on potential ataupun skills lah, ya. So it's not for everyone, contohnya. Okay, so these are the type of theory which you can put as a foundation for your MOOCs and micro credential. And connectivism, the last one is actually dia adalah part of constructivism. Okay, the learner build the experience and understanding, but this one is more into identifying and remediating the gaps in knowledge. So you connect the knowledge. Okay, you connect the knowledge. Contohnya when you know that the water boil at 100 degrees Celsius, how about when you freeze the water, what happened? But it's more into the identifying and remediating gaps in knowledge. Okay, so this is actually the 5 learning theories that actually, okay, the foundations of the process of learning happen in our students or in our learners. Okay, so we're done with learning theories. Learning theory study is actually explanation and description of how students learn. Kata tadi lah, ada yang behavior semua tadi kan. So the second one is instructional theories. Dia berbeza dengan learning theories, ya. Learning and instruction. Instructional theories pula, okay. This one is actually describe. They describe specific events outside the learners that facilitate learning. This is important, yeah. If possible, yeah, we wanted to have that event, the specific event, yeah, tu ada dalam kita punya MOOC and micro credential. That specific event, okay, because these specific events is the one who facilitates learning. So this event is actually the one that facilitates the learning process. Let me explain this, yeah. So if you type instructional theories in your, it should be instructional theories, yeah, because I have more than one. But if you type instructional theories in Google, you will find you can find many type of instructional theories. Okay, I list out 2 here. One is give me an event of instruction. Another one is careless ARCS instructional theory. I just put careless ARCS instructional theory here in case, in case you wanted to learn more, ataupun you wanted to explore more, what are other than instructional theory, other than getting an events of instruction. If you have joined us in our master trainer for the penyelaras e-pembelajaran faculty, campus and college, at that point of time, I mungkin cover getting 9 event of instruction ni sekejap je. Okay, there's a 9 event though. But in this session, I will try to go one by one so that all the MOOCs developer and micro-credential developer aware that these are the 9 events that should have in our MOOC and micro-credential. Okay? Okay, yang ni kita explore dulu, kita tak di dalam dulu. Okay, the next one is called instructional design. Instructional design ini pula adalah a process, a systematic and reflective process of translating principles. I hope I'm not too fast. Okay kan Suhaida, I'm not that fast. Or should I slow down?
Just right.
Okay.
Okay.
Macam kena suara tu. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Zaki. So the instructional design ni pula adalah systematic and reflective process. Maksudnya, it's a process that will help you to translate the principle of learning theories and instructional theory into instructional plan. Dan in instructional design, dia akan describe what are the steps involved in designing and developing instruction. In some books, dia akan letak instructional design model, ada juga yang panggil instructional design. Now I'm using the term instructional design. Ada yang akan guna instructional design model. Ada juga yang akan gunakan perkataan instructional systematic design, ISD. So all of that are the same. Okay, instructional design, the term that I use, dia juga yang menggunakan instructional systematic design, instructional design model. So all of that actually referring to a systematic and reflective process of translating. Sekarang kita nak translate the principles or the theories of learning tu into our plan, into our MOOCs. What are the steps that we need to take in order for us to design an effective MOOC and micro-credential? So these are the models. Kalau you type instructional design models, you boleh jumpa lebih dari 100 model. Ni saya tunjukkan ada 3 di sini. Eddy models, Assoc models, you see waterfall model. Ada satu lagi yang model yang very comprehensive, pick and carry model. Okay, so yang atas ni there are 3 models, Eddy models. Eddy models doesn't belong to anyone. Okay, this is the models that I use when I do my PhD lah, Okay, it starts with step number 1 is analysis, step number 2 is design, step number 3 is development, step number 4 is implementation, and step number 5 is evaluation. So these are the steps. So kalau you tengok slide tadi yang I kata tu, this instructional design is a systematic and reflective process of translating the principles of learning of theories into instructional plan. So these are the steps for Eddy lah, For Assoc ni bila when I was in teachers training college, you know, when at that point of time kita tak ada ni lah, it's not a pandemic time, kita face to face. So These are the steps that we need to follow when preparing our lesson plan. Okay, who is your learner? You sebutlah name of the class, student, form 5. For example, in UiTM, mungkin kita kata students, faculty of medicine, for example, number of students, this contoh. And then what are the objective? And then select media and materials, utilize media and materials. Or if you just type sure, you will find a full description of what you need to do in all these steps. Yeah? Another models that is also quite popular is called waterfall model. Dia disusun tu macam waterfall. You start with requirement, and then baru you design, then you develop, and then you testing, and then you deploy, and then you maintain. Mungkin could be relevant to your MOOC atau micro credential. And these are the most comprehensive lah. Tapi bila as comprehensive as this, it will help you very much more in your planning your micro credential and MOOCs. Yeah. Tapi I'm not going to explain all this model. I cuma akan explain Eddy model pasti. The steps in Eddy model. Yeah. When I do my research lah, yeah, when I was doing my PhD last time, kita ada owner untuk issue model ni. So when we pick issue model, kita kena letak nama dia. I forgot the name. Yeah. Waterfall model pun ada owner. Dick and Carry ni, of course lah, nama dia pun dah Dick and Carry kan. Dick and Carry. Tapi Eddy model ni, it doesn't belong to anyone. So it's a tricky question lah bila I kadang-kadang kan, when I was in Viva session, and kadang-kadang student tu menggunakan Eddy dalam developing the materials for PhD. Who is the owner of Eddy model? I tanya kadang-kadang. Ada yang kata Eddy is belong to disebut nama lah. So it's actually no. Eddy models doesn't belong to anyone. It's a generic model. And you see, whatever models come after that is actually taken from Eddy models. Dia macam make Eddy models in a detailed way and claim that it is actually their own model. Tapi dia ambil sebenarnya refer to Eddy models. Okay, so this is instructional design models. It's a step-by-step line. So to summarize, ada 3 yang kita bincang tadi. The one that we discussed just now, learning theories, instructional theories, and learning design. We start with learning theories. Okay, this one explain how the organisms learn. I use the word organism because it's actually covered the living things. Sebab learning theories ni ada juga learning theories yang when it's come to human lah. Okay, when it's come to other creatures, ada juga dia nak study on how they learn. Okay, and then instructional theories. Instructional theories ni describe specific event outside the learner that facilitate learning. Kita tak tahulah whether it is true or not, but these are the events that kalau boleh you have to have it in your MOOCs micro credential. And last one, learning design tadi, the systematic and reflective process of translating the principles or theories of learning and instructional theories into instruction plan. Okay, so to put all together in a chart, supaya nampak di mana kedudukan semua ni, I put it in this form. Okay, so learning theories is actually, we start with learning theories and people expand it to instruction theories. Sebab daripada learning theories ni dia nak identify what are the specific event that facilitates learning. Bila dah identify apa specific event tersebut, then dia come out with instructional design. This is where all the models coming in. What are the steps that you need to take in order for you to facilitate the learnings of the students. Okay. I think so far macam tak ada soalan kan? Tak ada. Okay. So
Semua tengah fokus mendengar tu je. Tengah take note.
focus. Okay. So now I give you a brief overview of these three. Okay. So in the next slides, I will move into instructional theories and instructional design. I will not cover learning theories lah. So kalau learning theories ni kita akan belajar epistemology dia, how this theory evolve, which is not relevant, not that relevant in MOOCs and micro credential development lah. Okay, so in learning theories, we believe that underlying theory that we need to understand that students belajar ni ada banyak theory ya. They might learn from behavior, they might learn from cognitive, they might learn from interaction with humans, okay, and constructivism, we construct the knowledge. Okay. Okay, so now we move to the next slides. As I mentioned earlier, I tak cover all the learning theories lah. I think it is important for us to focus now on instructional theories. I hope you still remember what is instructional theories. Yeah, these are the specific events. Okay, that happen outside the learners that facilitate learning. Okay, kita rest 20 saat just to make sure that everyone get ready for the next slides. It is instructional theories.
20 seconds Dr. Jo. Specific.
Okay, 30 second lah, 30 second.
Okay.
Second.
Right, again, if you have any question, you can use the chat box or you can just ask directly to Dr. Jo, right?
Okay, I said 30 seconds habis. So now let's explore on the instructional theories. Yeah, if you remember tadi I explained on instructional theories ni, I give you two examples. Okay, is there any specific instructional design model for specific learning theories? Prof. Hasdina Hassan, yeah. When we talk instructional design model for specific instructional theory, kita tak ada yang very specific, maksudnya you map out with instructional theory dengan instructional design. You see, instructional theory ni adalah a smaller part. Okay, so when you wanted to construct the content, you might perhaps can use any other instructional design model that you wanted to use, which is according to the needs of your the objective lah. Ya. So kita tak ada apa-apa specific one yang kita memang kalau ini learning theory, ini instructional design. So it is actually depends on the developer, which one actually suits you. Okay, but bear in mind this is not a blueprint. Yeah? This is not a blueprint. Macam all this model, all these steps is not a blueprint. It's a step-by-step guide that you can use in order for you to achieve the objective. Dia macam dia bukan blueprint lah, ya. It's not a blueprint. And to answer that question just now, kita tak ada yang specific one. Okay, for instructional theories, I do mention earlier tadi, kita ada Cagney dan event of instruction and Kellers. Ya. Kalau Keller ni dia cuma ada 4 saja. ARCS and ARCS lah. Tapi for the purpose of this session today, I just focus on non-event of GAME live because this is much more relevant to the MOOCs and micro-credential development in UiTM. But you can type ARCS. I think if you type, you'll be able to get pelajar yang ada attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. Okay, for non-events of instruction, it is actually being first derived daripada buku yang ditulis oleh Robert Niels Gedney. Okay, he died in 2002. Okay, he is an educational psychologist. Is best known for his 9 events of instruction, which was introduced in 1965 in his book Condition of Learning. Okay, kalau you all minat nak tengok buku dia lah ya, apa yang actually being written in the first version of the 9 event of Gedney, you can look for the book Condition of Learning. Okay, these are the 9 events yang according to Gedney should happen in the learning process. Okay, number 1 is gaining attention. Okay, number 2, informing the learner of the objective. Number 3, stimulating recall of prior knowledge. Number 4 is presenting information. Number 5, kita provide guidance. Number 6, kita eliciting performance. Okay. Number 7, providing feedbacks. Number 8, kita assess the performance. And number 9, kita enhance the retention and transfer of the knowledge. Okay, so these are the 9 events according to Gedney that should happen in the teaching and learning process, ya, regardless whether it is online ke ataupun it is through face-to-face. Okay, cumanya bila kita buat online ni, I think in MOOCs and micro-credential, ya, we need to think of something which can support or which can actually be able to touch the students lah, ya. So let's go through one by one. Okay, number 1, gaining attention, ya. I think gaining attention, ya, kalau if you still remember, ya, in your school days, and sometimes when I have student class before the pandemic, ya, this is the process where you gain the attention of the students, ya. So in my case, ya, I do believe that in different disciplines, in different faculty, campus, college, yeah, you have your own way of getting the attention. Okay, this could happen kalau kita susun kita punya MOOC and micro-credential. Kalau kita tengok, ya, this could happen, boleh berlaku dalam setiap topik ataupun boleh berlaku dalam bahagian introduction. Okay, you see you have introduction, ya, in the beginning part. Sebelum you buat topik itu kan, you boleh pilih lah sama ada this part is an introduction, learning activities ataupun conclusion. So I think this part, getting attention, could be in every topic if you want, or you can put it into the first part, which is introduction, ya. So I still remember bila kelas yang face to face lah, ya, before kita bincang MOOC ni, Rachel. My teacher, ya, used to bring satu kotak, katakan small kotak like this, ya, and it will like waktu dia nak ajar kita tentang makanan sihat lah, ya, I still remember lah school ni, dia akan suruh kita teka apa dalam kotak tersebut. Okay, so bila kita goyang-goyang kotak tu, okay, ini bola, bukan bola. So yalah, this is salah satu cara lah. So actually it is an apple, ya. So dia kata an apple a day keep the doctors away. So itulah cara dia buat sekolah dulu lah, ya. So in MOOCs ataupun in micro credential, storytelling can be done, tapi you need to like yalah, you know the requirement of the micro credential and MOOC, kita kena ada kita punya original videos. But storytelling, if you can come up with one short story just to get the attention, and you can do some short demonstration, presenting a problem to be solved, okay, and doing something the wrong way, the instruction should then show how to do it in the right way. And then you can explain also to them why it is important. I remember in one of my MOOC lah yang still independent this time, I presenting a problem to them. When I talk about wireless, ya, I kata hari itu, contohnya ya, long time ago bila kita talk about telephone, ya, it's all wired. Okay, semua guna telefon, semua guna wired. And then after 20 years, ya, now you can have you punya handphone tanpa wire, and yet still you can communicate. Then my problem to them is that kenapa air, ya, kenapa water kita ni, long time ago kita mas guna pipe, sampai sekarang kita guna pipe. Tak boleh ke kata kita nak transport water tu without pipe? Dia macam tanya-tanya pula. Possible juga, ya. Kenapa air ni daripada dulu kena guna pipe, ya? Sedangkan telefon dulu guna wire, tak guna wire. Sekarang tak payah guna wire. Okay, so that is one of the way of trying to get the attention lah. Yeah? I have an answer for that, tapi I will tell you lah in the end, ya, macam mana actually you can transport water without that. Okay, so this is the first one. It could be a short one, asalkan you manage to get their attention. Yeah. Number two, yeah, I think this is actually straightforward. As I said, you will aware that either you buat chapters, you need to tell them what are the learning outcomes. So we aware that students in university in UiTM, most of them are adults. Adults ni pendekatan dia more into andragogy lah. Okay, andragogy. Kalau yang di sekolah menengah, sekolah rendah tu kita pendekatan dia more into pedagogy. Pedagogy is actually a Greek word referring to kids lah. Ya. Andra is referring to adults. Ya. So, yeah, having the learning objective will fulfill this requirement. You tell them what you are going to learn, tell them again, and tell them again, tell them what you told them. So that's why in every chapter tu, topik tu kita memang minta learning outcomes lah to be stated. Event number 3 pula adalah stimulating and recall of prior knowledge. I think this one is actually most of us has been done dalam MOOC lah, ya. What you have learned in the previous subject kalau ada, kalau tak ada, perhaps you can just include ataupun tell them in the form of material, telling them that perhaps before you join university ataupun in your first year you have learned about this. Okay. So at least dia akan stimulating a learner a recall of previous learned information that help them to build on their previous knowledge or skills. Okay, so yeah, by putting some efforts, yeah, perhaps in the topic lah. So it's not necessary for you to tell them that these are the prior knowledge, but at least you try to incorporate any previous knowledge that you think it is important in order for you to continue with this MOOC micro credential. Number 4 ni is presenting information. This one is very straightforward. This is a place ataupun a section where you present the information. Remember ya, bila I explain tentang instructional theories ni, I tak refer to mana-mana topik. I tak refer to mana-mana bahagian dalam ni lah, dalam topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. Tapi it should be inside the whole process of MOOC and micro-credential. Yeah? So I think presenting information is where you show them all the materials, all the teaching videos. Yeah? But bear in mind that please chunk the information to avoid memory overload. Okay, and blend the information to add in information recall. Okay, means to say kalau boleh chunk tu, contohnya, as why I also been mentioned all over the time, kalau kita ada video panjang, it is advisable to keep it in a few small videos so that it will help them to watch the videos in a short period of time, and that will help them to understand more and to avoid like a scenario like memory overload. Yeah? Okay, and then event number 5 is provide guidance for learning. So I think this comes with a response lah, yeah? Response when the students post in question dalam kita punya MOOC or micro-credential. It is important for the instructor to provide support and guidance. Okay, that's why kalau baca dalam kita punya surat antikan, ya, if you refer to the appointment letter of MOOC and micro-credential, we do stated there that untuk penyelenggara to maintain the MOOCs post development. So it is important for the developer to monitor, kalau bukan hari-hari buka pun at least twice a day macam tu, to provide support. Yeah? That's why kita encourage kalau develop MOOCs ni, you have friends. So in case of dia dah siap post development letter, yeah, when you wanted to provide these supports to the students, at least you have like a partner to do that. Okay, number 6 means Elicit Performance. Yeah? This is actually referring to the learners to demonstrate the skill. Okay, this allows the learner to practice retrieving the information they have learned. So it could be an activities, okay, which you incorporate in your MOOC for micro-credential, so that there will be a space for them to demonstrate the skills. Okay. And practice by letting the learner do something which the newly acquired behavior, skills or knowledge. I think this is important with both lah, MOOC and micro-credential. Tapi bila kita talk about micro-credential, kalau kita tengok ya, the requirement by MQA is the micro-credential should be between 4 to 40 hours in student learning time. So katakan kita buat micro-credential is for 10 hours. And then this is focusing on writing description. So perhaps in the end of the day, after they have completed micro-credential, the instructor ataupun the developer should provide some activities where they can actually practice what they have learned. Okay, I think this is very straightforward. Number 7 is also provide feedback. Okay, maksudnya instructor should provide feedback to the learners, allowing the learner to correct their behavior, show correctedness of the learner's response, and then analyze learner's behavior. This can be a test, quiz, or verbal comments, and the feedbacks need to be specific. Okay, contohnya according to this gig ni, dia kata you are doing a good job, it's not enough. Kalau boleh tanya dia why they are doing a good job. Okay, so contohnya when you give them quiz ataupun some scenario, when the student answer, at least you can give feedback like, yes, this is correct, but you need to be more, explain more about how you actually, for example, explain more on how the water change into vapor, contohnya. Ya. Number 8 is assess performance. This is more into assessment. Yeah, this is more into, you will assess how the students perform. Okay. If you refer to type of assessment, nanti ada formative dengan summative. Yeah. I rasa this is more into summative assessment, where in the end of the day, you wanted to actually know whether the students manage to achieve all the learning outcome that you would like them to master. Okay, so this is one just now.
Tadi Dr. Je terputus.
Sorry, okay, okay. So this is more into a summative lah, yeah. Meaning to say, dalam kita punya, we actually working on this with ICT. Kita kata dalam tu nanti kita akan ada assessment. Sebab the way forward for us is to make sure that the students who are taking our MOOC and micro credential, they will be able to have this credit transfer. So yeah, we will have assessment letter so that students will be able to measure. We will be able to measure the students' achievement for that MOOC or micro credential. And the last one is enhanced retention and transfer. Okay, so this one is actually kalau you are aware, I think ada juga MOOC developer dalam sesi ni that has been developed MOOCs for many times. Yeah? This is not the first time. If you remember that dalam kita punya requirement tu, kita ada mention about additional materials. Okay, so these are the parts di mana kita try to emulate this non-event of gap ni. Kita bagi we would like to have that element. Kalau you tak buat tu, then kita your MOOC is incomplete lah dan credential. So that is why we put additional material, so that you can put additional materials to help the students to enhance their retention and transfer of information. Maksudnya, if they wanted to know more, they can go to this website and look into it. Yeah. And then I would like to reiterate, yeah, that the 9 events study, okay, are designed to support learners' process. All the 9 events study to support the learner's process. The events may be considered as steps. Okay, ada yang anggap dia sebagai steps, but they do not have to occur sequentially. Maksudnya kalau dia tak happen in order pun is okay. But good instruction should contain all the steps. Okay, maksudnya all the elements, 9 elements tadi ya. Good lah if you can have all the steps. So these are the 9 events tadi itulah yang I was trying to share with everyone. Okay, these are the 9. I think I have I hope I have made it clear lah about this 9 event of game ni. Okay, I letak satu contoh di luar ni macam a map lah ya. And then soalan pula bawah tu. Okay, which country has the fastest internet connection? Okay, soalan macam ni lah ya. And you rasa soalan ni map dengan yang mana satu? The next steps tadi kan. Rasa kalau I put this in my MOOC atau micro credential ya, which country has the fastest internet connection? It should belong to number 1 ke number 2 ke. Number 2 I rasa out lah sebab dia bukan objektif. Number 3 pun I rasa bukan recording. Mungkin juga 3.
Ada yang bagi jawapan?
Okay. Tapi kalau yang soalan ni, I usually put it in my number 1 lah, get attention. This is to actually get the attention. Because this MOOC is actually referring to ICT MOOC. So, sebelum kita bercerita tentang MOOC, micro credential, what is internet, and etc. To get the attention, I pose this question first. So, apa agak-agaknya jawapan soalan ni? Which country has the fastest internet connection? Okay, you can type in. You rasa-rasa mana country has the fastest internet connection? Per country ya, bukannya per place. Dia average area per country. Maksudnya all internet are covered lah maksudnya. Okay. Japan. Finas kata Japan. Okay. Tapi based on, Germany, China, USA. Okay. So far, based on the latest data, tak ada lagi nama keluarga, nama country itu keluar. Ada nampak tadi, dah keluar tadi. It is actually South Korea ya. It's actually South Korea. Sebenarnya kalau anda semua masih ingat ya, kita pernah keluarkan satu blueprint smart schools. Okay, smart schools ya. And actually selepas dilancarkan smart school tersebut, South Korea actually come and visit Malaysia lah. This is from one of my friends in ministry lah. Bila South Korea punya delegation come into Malaysia, they find it very way forward smart school tu. Dibawa ke South Korea dan dia implement. Cuma memang in the smart school policy itu, the first foundation yang kena buat adalah to make sure that internet connections are excellent. So yeah, they make sure that one take place first. Baru dorang start with all the smart school, then it's become a successful lah. Cuma di Malaysia ni, walaupun first foundation tu tak kuat lagi, dia move to the second phase. So that's why, I'm not sure whether it is successful, but it depends on people interpretations. Okay, so that is kita punya instructional instructional theories tadi. So this is a screen from MOOC ya. So the first part tadi, gaining attention, perhaps you can put it into introduction sebab dalam kita punya MOOC development kita ada part introduction bukan. So perhaps what we can do is we can actually put some like storytelling ke ataupun whatever it is, you are the subject matter expert, whatever things that we can gain their attention before they move to learning activities. There is no right or wrong. Yeah? This is actually a specific event that should happen in learning, yeah? According to learning theories. So no one can dispute this one unless you can prove it otherwise lah. Yeah? So this is the one that I'm referring to just now. We have actually covered all the requirement by non-event of gag ni lah. Content kita ada, assessment ada, activity pun ada. So activity tadi adalah referring to ni, eliciting performance tadi. Number 6. Number 6 is eliciting performance, which you will ask the learner to demonstrate the skills. Okay, so actually, if you fulfill all the requirement dalam kita punya M-Track, no? At least you have three contents. You have assessment, you have additional materials, you have activity, you have feedback, you have teaching video, which we emphasize original videos. Then you have actually fulfilled the 9 event of technique. So coming up with this requirement is not like the team bangun pagi and then wake up, oh kena ada content, wake up lagi kena ada assessment. No, we map this with the 9 event of GAGMI, so that whatever it is pun kita map it to the learning theory. Once kita dah map it to learning instructional theories, we can map it to learning theories. Okay, that's about instructional theories. Sebelum kita ke instructional design, kita rehat dulu. Okay, kita rehat so that you will have time to have some coffee. Kita rehat for 5 minutes lah, ya Suhaida? 5 minutes.
Okay, boleh Doktor.
Topik-topik ni semua dry ni. Kalau kita terus nanti orang kata yang dikendong tak dapat, yang dikendong berceceran, yang dikejar tak dapat. So kita jumpa semula in 5 minutes lah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I rasa 5 minutes pun dah habis. So let's start again we continue lah ya dengan learning instructional design. Okay, so kalau kita lihat semula carta tadi ya, instructional design ni adalah bahagian yang paling besar lah ya, paling besar ya. So instructional design model ni, as I mentioned earlier, dia ada banyak. If you just type in instructional design model, you can find more than hundreds. So in order to cater that learning theories, you can actually use any instructional design yang you comfortable with and you are mastering it. Okay, so you can use any instructional design models that you are well versed in. Yeah. Okay, so this is instructional design. I rasa this one I have mentioned earlier tadi. This is a systematic and reflective process of translating principles or learning of or theories of learning instruction theory into instructional plan. And it's described the steps involved in designing and developing instruction. Okay, dia ada banyak model, as I mentioned tadi ada 100 lebih, but the two popular models lah, if you look into the internet, you'll find that these are the two the most popular models, the Eddy models and Dick and Carey design models. Okay, saya dah tunjuk tadi, ini adalah model-model yang lain. Cuma for this session, I will focus on Eddy model. So Eddy models ada 5 steps. Okay, analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluations. First of all, why we need models? Why we need steps in designing content? Bukan content saja ya. People also use this Eddy model to make decision. People also use Eddy model to come out with module. Modul ni macam modul hard copy ke ataupun modul physical module ke. And also people use these Eddy models to come out with whatever module yang ataupun decision. Okay, just to share with everyone, this is actually originated from a military punya process of decisions, and it doesn't belong to anyone. Okay, the analysis phase. Okay, bila kita buat MOOC and micro credential, once you have submitted the codes to your penyelaras and being approved, then it is actually the process is now begin for you to start to develop the MOOC. Okay, so these are the steps. Okay, ada ramai dalam practice dia lah ramai yang skip bahagian ni, tapi sebenarnya kita tak galakkan lah sebab we will miss all the important things bila kita skip analysis phase ni. So kita assume kita tahu these are the students, they are all over the world. Okay, and I think knowing that is enough. So I think what are the things that you can ask yourself is, ataupun ask your team lah is that who will be the audience for that MOOC and micro credential. Okay, the audience mungkin very straightforward lah what do learners already know? Okay, and then do constraints exist? Okay, contohnya ada constraint tak bila you buat MOOC ni, mungkin you lack of skills using UFuture contohnya and what do they need to learn to be able to do after having gone through this program. And number 5 is what are the delivery methods currently used, contohnya in this subject or in this code. Okay, or You can add other question, perhaps what is there any current courses in the form of micro-credential and MOOCs under this course, yeah. So yeah, that is actually, this phase is actually, you are going through everything that is I mean important for you to know before you begin to design. Another one is you might need to do some analysis, yeah, when it's come to content also, yeah. Contohnya, is the content that I'm going to develop will be still relevant? Okay, is the content maybe too easy or too hard? Okay, so that is among the questions in the analysis phase lah, yeah. So you might not to, if you want to jot down all this in the form of writing also can, but if you can just like consider this visually, okay, mean to say you have actually explored all the possibilities, then it's also okay, yeah. So actually this is actually in terms of how you understand lah, yeah, the audience, what do learners already know, okay. So these are the things you need to ask yourself. So the next phase, katakan you dah actually explore what are the possible informations in analysis. The next phase is you move to design phase. So in this design phase, yeah, this stage now dia jadi macam lebih detail. Okay, you have to ask your team. That's why if you have team, better lah, so that the more is the merrier, right? Nanti you need to think of yourself lah. Okay, in the design phase now you need to think design, yeah. How should content be organized? Okay, and then how should ideas be presented to learners? And what delivery format should be used? What type of activities and exercises will help learner best? And how should the achievement of the learning outcome be measured? So maksudnya, before you open the UFuture and start putting things inside, you should be able to think of this. Kalau boleh, ya, you try to plan all this prior putting all the information into the UFuture. Maksudnya you dah map sedia lah, ya. You put it into your A4 paper. You kata I will do 7 topics. Topic 1 I put this. So meaning to say you dah ada you punya design punya phase tu. Okay, and these are the question yang you should ask yourself first, and then we would like, kalau boleh, ya, to make the design phase too easy for you and it's a well planned. Kalau boleh, you need to produce an instructional design document for the MOOC and micro credential. That's why kalau you register for micro credential, we do ask the learning outcome lah, yeah, of your micro credential in the beginning of the development. Okay, so you need to produce, this is design part, ya, dia masih lagi dalam phase 2. You need to produce an instructional design document for the MOOC and micro credential. Okay, number 1, ya, learning outcomes and objective. So this is the objective that you want the learner to be able to learn. Okay, and the objectives lah, yeah, of the MOOCs chapters, yeah. So instructional strategies here, yeah. Ini adalah strategi pengajaran. So perhaps you see, ya, bila kita mengajar in a real classroom face to face, kita ada a few strategy. Contohnya lecture is one of the strategy. Tapi takkanlah kita setiap 14 minggu tu kita lecture je kan. So I mean another type of instructional strategies here is like lecture. Kita ada juga macam playing games, case study. So mungkin chapter 1 tu mungkin you start with content juga, tapi ada you punya instructional strategy. Contohnya activities tu yang you have a varieties of instructional strategies lah, I mean. So dia bukannya macam it's video, teaching video, lecture, lecture. So you have a variety of strategies that you can include in your MOOC and micro credential. Okay, number 3, you in your instructional design documents, you must also stated your exercise and learning activities. Okay, your exercise and learning activities. So this is actually referring to what are the learning activities ataupun what are the activities you wanted to put in. Okay, what you wanted to put in your topics. Okay, so maksudnya you map lah chapter 1, pick 1, these are the learning outcomes, these are the learning strategies, these are the exercises, and these are the learning activities. In terms of grouping and sequencing of content, this one is actually referring to whether you want to group it. Okay, contohnya, there are many possible punya sequencing of content. Sama ada it's a step by step, ataupun you start with the big part first, macam tadi kan. When I start the session, I start with learning activities, learning theories, which is smallest part. And then I explain about the instructional theories, which bigger than learning activities. Then I end up with instructional design. Okay. So this is actually the sequencing of the content. Step by step maksudnya all the contents is actually a smaller chunk of it, ataupun you nak start from a big part like this to a smallest part. But that is actually referring to, again, back to the developer subject matter expert on how you strategize the content. Yeah. Number 5 here is actually selection of media. Selection of media is actually when you decide what media will be appropriate when presenting the content to learners. Okay, so of course, some examples of media includes PowerPoint slides, audio clips, video clips, computer simulations, videos, and etc. So selection of media should also be decided in your instructional design document. Okay, so this is how you plan for each topics. Learning outcomes and objective first, because I know OBE kan, kalau you tengok OBE, it's always start with learning outcomes. Then you narrow down to instructional strategies. Then what are the exercise and learning activities you want to include? How you group the content, some other you wanted it from step by step, a smaller chunk, everything, ataupun you want to start from big to small. And then selection of media. What are the content that you wanted to include in your topics? And the last one is, of course, the assessment. Yeah. So in the end of the, I think chapter each topic, we wanted you to have an assessment. Okay, so you can design what are the assessment tools that you wanted to measure the learner's progress. Okay, So it is important that bila we're talking about assessment here, it is important that you ensure that the courses assessment should measure the learning progress towards each of the learning activities. So maksudnya it fits the learning objective. The type of assessment tadi, it fit the learning objective. Okay, and actually this instructional design ni termasuklah tadi dia adalah to make sure kita punya quality assurance checkpoint. Okay, so it is much easier to adjust. Nanti it is much easier to adjust the design than redevelopment later in the project. Okay, so bila you dah ada 6 elemen ni untuk setiap topik you, I'm talking about storyboarding dulu ya, I tahu storyboarding later. This is just to help you to check the design concept nanti. Bila you dah ada untuk setiap topik ni, dia akan bantu you untuk check the design concept which are cohesive and complete. And then it will provide, katakan you ada 6 ataupun 3 orang dalam kumpulan pembangunan MOOC tersebut, it will provide instruction and guideline to those yang akan work on the development phase of the project. So maksudnya kita boleh assume lah untuk topik 1, ini learning outcome dia, you work on this. Untuk learning outcome yang kedua, these are the learning outcome and you work on this. So this actually a blueprint dulu lah, a blueprint untuk each topik ataupun subtopik dalam you punya MOOC. Okay, so this is actually kita punya ni lah instructional design document for our MOOC and micro credential. Okay, next one. Okay, jadi nanti let me share again. Okay, now kita pergi ke the development phase. Tadi kita dah ada document for analysis phase. Now for development phase, this is where the storyboarding comes in. Okay, so for development phase, bila kita dah ada document tadi, you have the instructional design document. Then contohnya for topic 1, topic 2, I'm working on it. So I will create or obtaining any media yang dah di-agreed on. Okay, dan dalam fasa ini ia akan melibatkan storyboarding, graphics, and also content development. Okay, so if you can see in this slide, I do mention designing according to the storyboard specification, obtain and or create the required media, and then use technology to present information in many different multimedia formats so that learners' preference can be met. Determine the appropriate instruction which should be creative, innovative, and encourage learner to explore further. And then plan activities that allow for students group work to help construct a supportive social environment. Yeah. So in this phase, the development phase for AD models, yeah, it addresses the tools and process to create the instructional materials. This is the place where you develop. Tadi design, ini kita develop. Okay, so kalau kita buat, I remember when if you do for PhD ataupun for postdoc, ya, kalau you kata you guna AD model, you need to document apa yang happen in analysis, apa happen in design, apa happen in development. So that is the proof lah, means you follow all the order. Yeah? Okay. Again, I would like to reiterate that dalam stage development ni, dia include the process of storyboards. Okay, mungkin in the next series of development kita boleh fokus on storyboarding. Okay, dia mungkin and then terlibat dalam creating all multimedia elements. Okay, the development phase is a process yang kita gunakan untuk producing the materials needed to meet the objective. So kalau you need to create videos, yeah, original videos, these are the phase. So bila you report to your penyelesai pembelajaran, if you adopt AD model, you boleh kata, oh now we are in designing phase. Rather than you kata, oh baru 30%. So we can emulate this. So bila reporting happen, kalau pertanyaan tu lah kata how many percent siap, we are now in the development process. Oh, okay. Development process ni okay lah. You are now developing all the contents that needed to meet the objective. Okay. Okay. But in this development phase, you juga perlu responsible with the elements of project and the time schedules and the deadline. Sebab bila kita design materials ni, kita ada deadline dia. In the MOOC development also kita ada deadline dia. Tak naklah development phase ni dia jadi sampai habis dan tak bergerak ke proses seterusnya. Okay. And during this development phase juga, all the audio, videos and text materials are collected, prepared and created. So basically whatever process yang you dah design, tadi you kata kena 3 video, these are the stage where you develop all that materials. Yeah. But and just to share with everyone, these are the possible problems bila kita masuk stage ni. Okay, the design team lah, yeah, and the development team. I think that in MOOCs and micro credential, they are the same group of people. Fail to communicate with each other. Maksudnya, oh you buat ni, tapi oh alah, I tak dapat buat lah in the end. So it's a communication. I remember a big company, macam TM pun, walaupun dia serikat komunikasi, they also have problem with communication. Okay, another second possible problem will happen bila kita move into in the development process adalah the development team is incapable of meeting the needs of the design team. Ini kalau you ada 2 team lah, development dan design. The expectation of the design teams are unrealistic because of time constraint. So this is where kalau you perlu bantuan untuk recording, saya Puan Siti Suhaida is always open hands. Kalau nak kita bantu rakaman, editing semuanya, we are always willing to help more than, we are happy to help, yeah. The expectation of the design team tu unrealistic because of lack of resources. Contohnya, ya, we are planning and I said to have a virtual punya lab. Tak ada lagi lah, tapi untuk MOOC ni kita nak ada virtual punya ataupun kita nak augmented reality punya elements. Possible kalau you have the expertise kan, cuma kita, as I said, kita mungkin kita lack of resources lah, ya, we have to admit that. And lack of conscious of which authoring tools to use. This one macam Powtoon. Ada yang kata, oh kita guna Powtoon, tapi ada yang kata kita guna Go Animate. Ataupun kita guna from text to speech. No, kita guna Ivona. So this is actually another possible development problems lah. Yeah? So which need to be solved lah. Yeah? Development teams did not consider platform for different types of machine. Contohnya you are using Mac, I'm using Android ataupun bukan Mac lah. Yeah? So bila transfer ke sana, dia jadi macam semua lari. Bila masuk sana, semua tak boleh. Contohnya bila you buat video, bila masuk ke komputer yang satu, I guna different software. So it's need to start all over again. So these are among the possible development problem. Yeah? So if possible, please have a strong team, get good communication, and ensure that you'll be able to develop your MOOC MICRO CREDENTIAL. Yeah? And also, not to forget that the course development team also can include writers, editors, graphic designer. Okay, graphic designer, and add some other people that needed for the entire course development process. Okay, so if you need help with graphic designer, we can help you. I mean, what are the design you want? I think by giving us the storyboard, we will be able to help you. Okay, so the next phase is called the implementation phase, phase number 4. Yeah. In the implementation phase, the purpose of this phase is actually to make sure that the course get delivered smoothly and effectively to the learners. Maksudnya, remember dalam kita punya timeline tu, kita ada panggil pilot study. Ya? Pilot punya study where once you complete 100%, you can open it to a certain number of students. Okay, and from this feedback, you need to establish the timetable for the course rollout lah. Maksudnya sekejap je, you can do this for pilot study, ataupun you can consider this bila you dah long run. So implementation is actually happen, bila you dah siap, and it can happen on pilot study ataupun when you actually offered it to all of the students. Okay, and then number 2, schedule the courses, enroll learners kalau perlu. Tapi sekarang ni dia boleh enroll by themselves, ya. Notify learners and the supervisors about the course and select trainers and prepare them with a custom train to trainers. Okay. Also, use the planning delivery phase before the course ready for implementation. Yeah. Maksudnya once you have completed the course and you are ready to offer it to the students, make sure that try to gather whatever information that you get from the students for the final phase, which is the evaluation phase. Okay, this one is very subjective. Okay, you can actually during the pilot study, kalau you tengok dalam kita punya timeline, you have pilot study. During the certain time before you go for evaluation, bila you open it for a certain number of students, you can ask them, do you like the course? Is there anything that I can improve on? Do the learners achieve the learning objective at the end of the course? And did learners behavior change? Maksudnya do they show some changes in their behaviors lah, kalau di bawah behaviorism. Kalau in terms of cognitive happen in the mind, perhaps when you ask, give them a question, whether they can answer the questions or not. So this is some sort of example of evaluation that you can ask. Yeah? And again, for this evaluation phase, you might want to use several data collection techniques to get the information, such as surveys, questionnaire, interview, observation, and etc. So these are among the type of process that you can use to collect data. Okay, so bear in mind, okay, this is, I think I have mentioned this earlier. The Eddy model is only meant to suggest the activities at each phase. It's a guide. Dia bukannya apa yang I mention tadi itu is only itu yang you buat, bukan. It is a guide, yeah, and not a blueprint. Sebab kalau kita do any project pun, people will ask, you guna model apa to complete this project? Kalau you kata tak ada model, then how do you come up with this conclusion? So it's a trap lah, ya. Kalau buat macam academic study is need to be supported by models lah, ya. Any given project will include some activities and not others, and additional activities may be needed depending on your project needs. The team members at any phase given may also vary, yeah? Depending on the scope of the project and skills, capabilities of your team. So, okay, get the right teams. If you need people on the language side, ketua pembangun boleh buat benda tu, yeah. And if you need members from the industry, you can do that. You can register the person ataupun the expert from the industry ataupun outside UiTM, and you can yourself add them and put them as your member, yeah. So I think I have covered Eddy model and 9 event of Gagny. Remember, ya, 9 event of Gagny ni dia bukan instructional model. Dia cuma instructional theories. Instructional theories will just suggest you what are the specific events that you need to facilitate learnings to the students. In fact, Eddy models is a steps that you can use to plan for your project, yeah? The MOOC MICRO CREDENTIAL. Okay, I think in summary, yeah, good educational and training programs include MOOCs and micro credential require planning and analysis. So what I would like to suggest here is that when you go for your MOOC here, no, for your Eddy model here, the design model, please consider the 9 events of Cagney's. Yeah? So bila you come up, especially bila you discuss on how should content be organized. Okay. But of course, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, kita dah take into consideration bila kita have this one compulsory for the developer to fit in, to complete lah, at least they have all this. So all of this is actually depending on the creativity. Kita tak nak lah kata content must ni, ya, tak ada. It all depends on the developer. We treat you as a subject matter experts. It is actually your creativities and your expertise on how you present the content. Okay, so I think I have the beginning part tadi, ada kata my objective is to understand learning theories to develop online learning experiences, okay, and to apply instructional design. Learning theory study, I'm referring to an event of Cagnes. And the second one is to apply instructional design to the MOOCs and micro-credential development, which is the Eddy model. And remember, inside the design phase, I juga ada mention bahagian ni ya, this part, which you need to have your instructional design document for micro-credential MOOC, micro-credential and MOOC, yeah, as I mentioned earlier tadi. So on last note, I hope that you get something from this 2-hour session. On the last note, I would like to say thank you. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask. I will try to answer if I can. If I cannot, then I will get back to you lah when I have the answers. Okay, over to you, Saida.
All right, thank you, Dr. Joe. Okay, thank you, Dr. Joe. Hadir. All right. Again, thank you. Berkali thank you, Danny. All right. So the attendance form is, we already provide the link for the attendance form. Yes, I missed out in terms of the faculty. So we have corrected it, and you can just type in your faculty or campuses. Do remember, please provide your full name, right? And your staff ID. Okay. So take your time to fill in the attendance form, right? Yes, as what Dr. Joe mentioned, the topic is quite dry, but it is very important for us to know about instructional design and then learning theories in order for us to develop a good MOOC and micro-credentials. Because do remember that the MOOCs and micro-credentials, the learners will not be able to see us face-to-face. And usually the MOOCs and micro-credentials are in the method is self-paced. Okay, so kita tak jumpa dia, so we have to make sure that we design in such a way that they are able to be what we call they are able to learn without us being there all the time. Tu sebenarnya, right? So thank you again, Dr. Joe. I think before the session ends, again reminder, please fill in the attendance form. Jangan lupa, kan nanti tak dapat pula jam latihan semua kan? So sila isi. And then before we end the session, I would like to invite everyone to switch on your camera, okay, so that we can take a photo. Okay, ambil gambar. Okay, saya nampak tim FSU ada di situ. Okay, right. Okay, let's take a photo because this is the first session untuk MOOCs and micro-credential workshop. So do remember that we will have more workshops coming in. Right, so jangan tertinggal. So let's say kalau kata you are busy at that time, so please make sure that one of your team members join. Sebabnya kita akan impart information and knowledge sikit-sikit. We don't, macam previous years kita conduct 3 days workshop, tapi nanti takut kita terlupa, we forgot apa yang kita belajar yang 3 days earlier tu. So that's why this year kita akan buat secara berkala. Alright, so everybody dah switch on camera. Okay, eyes forward, tengok kamera masing-masing, huge smile. Okay, jangan bergerak because nanti gambar tak cantik. Oh, hi Cik Lias. Okay, I can see you there. Right, huge smile. We count 1, 2, 3, senyum. Right, another page. Okay, 1, 2, 3, senyum. Right. Nah, Dr. Mayu always ready untuk ambil gambar. Okay, another page. 1, 2, 3, senyum. Okay, last one. Tak last, banyak lagi ni. 1, 2, 3, senyum. All right. Okay, I think that will be it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. Thank you, everyone,
Thank you,
again.
Dr. Johan.
Thank you, Dr. Johan.
Again, reminder, make sure to fill in the attendance form before leaving the session. Sebab nanti nak bagi apa kita punya jam latihan. Right? Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good weekend nanti, insyaAllah. And best of luck semester akan buka. Hi, Naim. Alright. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.